Godzilla's Revenge is a good movie. Or at least, I think it is.
Gold! Gold! Eat me some!
Sorry for the unusual setting. It's just that if you so much as mention the worst Godzilla movie ever, he just kind of shows up. So I've come here to tame the beast, if you will. Godzilla's Revenge has a lot of nostalgic value for me. Along with King Kong vs. Godzilla, it was the first G film that I ever saw as a kid. And this DVD, in fact, got me through countless rainy days and road trips. And watching it today, I genuinely enjoyed my time with it. And it got me thinking, what is it about Godzilla's Revenge that people see as being so bad? Is it just because they watched a reviewer or two back in the day give their opinion on the film?
There's nothing more sad than a grown man all alone wallowing in his sorrows watching Godzilla's Revenge.
And refuse to develop their own informed mindsets about the movie? Or is there something genuinely wrong with the film itself? Well, let's take a look at this movie and see what's so bad about it. So, what's the plot? Ichiro, a young boy, is in love with giant monsters, specifically Godzilla. He's bullied on his way to school and his parents are hardly ever home due to work, so in his leisure he imagines fantasy scenarios where he has adventures with Manila on Monster Island. They encounter a new monster named Gabara, who acts as a fantasy parallel to Ichiro's real-life bully. Ichiro is kidnapped by thieves who have stolen the equivalent of about $500,000, which is roughly $3.5 million by today's standards. After he discovers their identities, and through Manila, he is able to learn to stand up to not just his kidnappers, but his bullies too. So, sounds simple enough, right? Just a basic coming-of-age kid story. Well, many G fans seem to have some gripes, and we're here to see if they're really warranting of all the hate that Godzilla's Revenge gets. Let's take a look at the most glaring complaint, the overuse of stock footage. While obviously it's no secret that this film recycles entire fight scenes from Son of Godzilla and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, as well as some recycled footage from Destroy All Monsters, I've been able to look past it. Something about this film's use feels shameless, almost. I mean, let's take a look at another Godzilla film that's notorious for its use of stock footage, Godzilla vs. Gigan. In this movie, we see shots from the battle with Ghidorah from Destroy All Monsters spliced in with the new footage, crudely tinted to somewhat match the new nighttime setting. It feels disingenuous, to me at least, seeing them try to pass off old footage as brand new once again. In contrast, footage from All Monsters Attack is ripped directly from the original films, save for some recutting to remove any appearances from Manila or other human characters. It doesn't really try to hide what it is at all. Of course, both of these films' use of stock footage is due to budgetary constraints, and it probably didn't pay off all that much for All Monsters Attack. But let's humor for a moment the thought that maybe the stock footage in this film isn't due to budgetary restrictions. Let's examine this from a story standpoint. Why are we seeing all these battles that Godzilla has fought before? Why only in dreams? That's because in Godzilla's Revenge, we are no longer in the standard Showa continuity, or any continuity for that matter. What we are seeing is a reflection of our own reality, where Godzilla only exists in that world as a pop culture icon present in cinema. In a life where Ichiro is bullied relentlessly, left with only two real companions, and whose parents are hardly ever around, he plays out fantasy scenarios in his head of his favorite giant monster, reliving the countless battles he has watched him face on screen. After all, we never see any evidence of Godzilla actually existing outside of Ichiro's dream world, and none of the adults seem to acknowledge the Big G or any other monster mentioned with much seriousness.
Minya's a monster.
Svarkira.
Min is the son of Godzilla. The boy's got the idea that the monster is his friend and protector.
Monster?
Yes.
And didn't we all replay our favorite movie scenes in our head at some point or another when we were young, inserting ourselves into the action, fantasizing about living out a reality that, chaotic and terrifying in retrospect, was our purest form of escapism? After all, this film was directed by Ishiro Honda, you know, the guy behind the very first Godzilla film. So is it not possible that despite this being a film that's targeted towards children, there could be some real thought and consideration being put into the character of Ichiro? This film marked the 15th anniversary of Godzilla, and a lot of people that grew up with the character and famous kaiju were probably at a point where they were feeling nostalgic for their own days of Ichiro. Well, that's annoying. No, I didn't mean you. Ugh.
Oh, hey, how's it going? Come on over here. I won't hurt you. You won't? Nope.
What are you doing, huh?
You know, just sitting up here in my lonesome, because I have no friends.
What were you eating there?
Cheese.
Oh.
You look like you ran into some trouble back there.
You know that monster?
Yeah, he just sort of comes out here whenever someone says something good or bad about revenge, and he just slinks back into his hole.
Well, I came here to try and calm him down.
Good luck with that one. No one's ever tried that.
Well, there's gotta be some way, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about Gabara. And I don't mean Manila's Gabara. I'm talking about Ichiro's Gabara, the big bad bully that torments his real-life escapades. Sure, the bully characters seem rather stock and may make this film seem basic and devoid of heart in its message on the surface, especially for us Western audiences, but being a film student inadvertently changed my entire perspective on this part of Godzilla's revenge. I'd like to direct your attention toward a classic 1932 Japanese film, I Was Born, but directed by Yasuhiro Ozu. It may not be readily apparent what this has to do with Godzilla's revenge, but allow me to explain. This silent film follows the childhood of Keiji and Ryoshi, two brothers who have just moved into town and end up being constantly under siege by a gang of bullies, forcing them to start being truant from school. In an effort to make themselves feel stronger, they eat a set of robin's eggs, which will empower them, at least according to stories they've heard. With the help of an older kid, they turn the tables on the bullies, and our main lead winds up becoming the new leader of the gang of rascal kids. Well, a kid that is relentlessly bullied, that regularly tries to escape his normal life and everyday responsibilities, only to eventually use courage found in a placebo of some kind to overthrow his tormentor and become the new leader of the bully gang? Sounds a little bit familiar to me. So it would seem to me that All Monsters Attack being inspired by and paying direct tribute to this important piece of early Japanese cinema doesn't seem too outside the realm of possibility. And after all, Shinichi Sekizawa, who wrote the screenplay for All Monsters Attack, would have been just 11 years old when I Was Born, but came out. And with Ishiro Honda involved as well, it's something interesting to think about. And right now, I don't have much reason to doubt that the two of them wouldn't know what they were doing. Keep in mind as well that I'm basing all of my assumptions and critique of this film based on the original Japanese version, as this was the way the film was intended to be viewed. Now, many like myself obviously grow up on the English dub, but when we're critiquing this, we gotta look at the original piece. And, let's all be honest, the English dub is garbage. Good garbage though, and watching this version nowadays is one of my all-time favorite so bad it's good movie experiences.
You should just go in there. I won't do you guys.
It's okay.
Hey!
Oh, no.
Very good, Clive. Does that mean I got a job?
He's selling the automobile that's sitting outside there.
What are you doing, huh? And I also want to see your daddy.
I'll introduce you.
You cry like a girl. You are a boy, aren't you? Yeah.
No. Godzilla says we have to fight our own battles and not be cowards.
So, even if you don't want to buy into the possible connection to the silent era of Japanese cinema, I still think that it's unfair to ridicule the film for its focus on a child being bullied. Sure, we've all seen the stock stand up to your oppressor story countless times, but that doesn't make it a bad one inherently. And keep in mind, this is a Japanese film made for Japanese audiences, because I want to show you something. In the 2017 to 2018 academic school year, cases of bullying in Japan numbered at 414,378. Mieko Nakabayashi, a professor at Waseda University in Tokyo, stated that, "In schools in Japan, a pupil who is different from the others will be a target. That is the same throughout Japanese society. Conformity is important. If you are talented in class, or if you're a girl who is too pretty, or if you play a musical instrument well, or if you just act differently, you are a target." Bullying has been, and continues to be, surprisingly vicious and relentless over in Japan. And even though the cases may not number the same amount as in the United States, it's still extremely disheartening to hear that conformity is important. Ichiro is bullied because, to some extent, whether it be from his interest in Godzilla or general behavior, he doesn't properly conform to societal norms. However, as we see in the ending of the film, he stands up to and beats his bully, Gabara, into submission, and subsequently becomes the new leader of the gang. In a way, Ichiro gives in to his desire for the bullying to stop so badly that he, in his own right, perhaps becomes a bully that appears to conform more to his world than we realize after the camera stops rolling. The final shot of the film doesn't even end on Ichiro in some triumphant fashion. We simply see him and his new gang of kids become smaller and smaller as the camera dollies out, becoming just a tiny fraction of the picture, conforming, in a way, disappearing into the framework of his country, as the industrial landscape of his world overtakes the image. In his world, Ichiro doesn't have any real kaiju to come and topple a utilitarian community. His mind provides him the only form of proper escapism he can experience. Perhaps I'm looking into all this a little too deeply. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws and choosing to ignore all the admittedly really awkward moments from the film, especially the English dub.
Not too fast. You won't be able to sleep tonight.
But instead of all this analysis, maybe I also see a simple film. One that introduced a young boy to the realm of giant monsters and fueled a desire in him to aspire to be something greater and follow his dreams. After all, being bullied for enjoying Godzilla, a franchise that, while we all love, is extremely niche, hits a little closer to home than most of us may realize. Oh shit! And despite what anyone may say, I adore Godzilla's Revenge. From childhood to adulthood, it remains one of my all-time favorites, whether I enjoy it genuinely or ironically or both. And no one can take that away from me. And you know what? If others don't see this film the same way that I do, then nobody should take that from them either. Let's remember that Godzilla's Revenge is just one film in a franchise that's soon going to be coming up on 40 entries. There's no reason to spew hate toward this one in particular when there's so many others to enjoy. And you know what, Gabara? You're one of my favorite kaiju. No matter how many people say you're ugly or have an irritating roar, you'll always be special to me. So you know what? Maybe let's start spreading more positivity in this fandom. There's a part of Godzilla that everyone can love. That's why we're fans in the first place, isn't it?
Don't worry, Jake. I'll save you.
Oh, this is gonna end badly.
go, go. 3, 2, 1. One day I went for a stroll in the park. Whoa. Jay came out from behind a tree, wearing a hat and some nice booty shorts. Oh, no, not again. I thought I lost him for good. Run, run, all I can do is run from him. Let go, please stop, no, please! Now he's got me tied up in the back of his car, taking me to some remote place in the mountain woods. I don't know what he plans to do. Please send help, call the police! Now he's brought me to the middle of nowhere. Help! And it's getting really dark outside. Oh dear God, is he doing what I think he is? With one hard, quick punch, he knocks me out cold. Wake up, he tells me, where am I?
You, my friend, are going to serve me quite nicely.
Now he's got me dressed up in a gray morph suit. It's so hot, I'm sweating balls, my back itches bad. He's trying to live a fantasy. This must be the end for me. Oh hey, I didn't see you there. We just finished filming my part for the upcoming Godzilla's Revenge video. If you want to see more exclusive scenes and behind the scenes access, go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon. You know, I'm dead on the inside.
Thanks again to all of these fabulous Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/DaikaijuLegends, including Jaws Infinity, Deadzilla, Goji73, Project Godzilla, Justice, Liquid Pestar, Jeff King, Saint Nick, Johnny Sacco, Kaiju X, William Zorio, Ultriab, That One Godzilla Fan, Mason Ramon, GWRzilla, and Hayden Bell. Still working on new Patreon splash screens for the end, but speaking of Patreon, there will be some major updates coming soon there, so keep an eye out for that, whether you are a patron or not, because if you're not a patron, you may still be pretty interested in some of the new little surprises that we've got in store to offer you guys, so keep an eye out there. Peace out.
The moon is okay, but I would rather do some other thing instead.